For 12 years, I've been providing, refurbishing and renting houses to families, to individuals and to companies. Over that 12-year period, there have been a number of tenants of ours that actually came from homelessness. At the age of 17, I moved out of the High Wycombe area, where I was originally from, and moved to London. 14 years later, I moved back to the area, and something that struck me immediately as I went into the high street for the first time was just how many homeless people there were on the streets. Now, this had me thinking. A recent statistic had estimated that in 2021, there were 227,000 people registered homeless here in the UK. And that doesn't sit well with me, knowing that in my lifetime, there are still people that are repeatedly sleeping on the streets. That's why today, I will be doing a social experiment. I'm going to be sleeping on the street in High Wycombe overnight. The whole idea behind this social experiment is for me to delve deeper into what it's actually like to be homeless and to see what we can do to help those that are less fortunate than us. So we've been in Wycombe for all of literally about 30 seconds. We have seen there's some beds literally down here. We've had a number of people. As soon as we walked out of the door of where we were staying, we had two guys that had just obviously come up from their bed or something. There's another lady just there. We've been on the street for quite literally about 60 seconds and we've seen four people that are obviously in need and don't have anywhere to go. So we're going to keep wandering around town, hopefully speak to somebody and just see where the night takes us.
I'm trying to help myself and hopefully I'll be working soon.
Yeah?
The blanket and night shelters over the winter period.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Do you mind me asking whereabouts do you sleep? Do you change where you sleep or do you stay in the same place?
We used to sleep in the car parks, but because junkies were leaving needles there, owners of the car park got security to kick out homeless. So homeless people is paying for what the fucking junkies have done.
Wow, that was very sobering. So I just spoke to a guy called Jack. Very good on the guitar, didn't want to be on camera, understandably. Committed suicide or attempted to commit suicide 8 times. Depressed, under medication, lived in High Wycombe for 8 years. That was a really tough one. I asked him where he was from because he had an accent and he said, I don't want to put down my country whilst I'm sitting on the pavement, he said. It's just so obvious that this is more than just you don't live under a roof. This is so much more that comes with this, which is depression. He kept saying to me, this is physical. You can probably hear him in the guitar in the background. Please don't film because he did ask not to, but he was saying this is physical. This is a physical pain. He was saying, he looked me in the eye and said, try and sit on this piece of cardboard for 24 hours a day. And he actually started getting a little bit annoyed at me because I said, what are your options to be able to kind of get some help? And he said, what do you think? Yeah, I'm sat here. And I think it's just more, I've seen people say, go and get help. But actually there's so much more to this. It's such a more mental health issue. And that was a really sobering conversation. And yeah, one that I'll never forget. Right, we just met a guy called Liam. And I was actually really hoping to see this guy because I see him a lot. He's always in the McDonald's drive-thru. Just had a chat with him, and his girlfriend, who I've also seen before, is her 40th birthday today. He didn't really want to chat right now. He said we can have a chat a bit later, hopefully, because he wanted to get his latte and ice cream that someone gave him to send it back to his girlfriend for her 40th birthday. So I think we're going to go and surprise her with hopefully some treats for her birthday. So we're here with a very nice gentleman called, do you mind me saying your name? Yeah. His name's Jay. Just met Jay on the stairwell, gave him a Coke. So we're, he's got his sugar fix for the evening. And do you know what? Jay's actually been really nice to kind of agree to have a bit of a chat with us. Yeah. Jay, if you don't mind, please don't say what you're not comfortable with, right? Yeah, and you'll only say what you're happy to say. Yeah. But you've been very kind to accept this. So if, in your own words, Jay, if you wouldn't mind, just telling us a little bit more about who you are, where the homelessness kind of started, and where you are today, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no worries. Well, basically, it started off, well, to be quite honest, I was into like the rave scene, etc., like that. I had a good job, and I ended up kind of, losing one job, getting another job, and then I ended up moving into a place called Stonham, and it's closed down now. But what goes with moving in somewhere, and things happen, and I ended up getting on something that I didn't really know a lot about, dabbled in it, and before you know it, things happen, and it's the worst and the biggest regret that's ever happened. So basically, I'm not going to go into that, but you can probably guess what it is. But it will be drugs, harder drugs. But kind of scrimmed my way through life, lost a very, very good job, and ended up being on the streets. And the last 8-9 years, it's been basically a big up and down place, like being on the streets, and then obviously comes to streets. It comes with a bit of petty crime and stuff like that. So then getting turned into custody because it's only short sentences, they can't use it. So it's a vicious circle, a revolving circle. But being homeless in High Wycombe is okay, but it's sort of there could be quicker things done. But they've got a lot better since COVID. Since COVID, why can't you house them immediately because of COVID? They can't kind of go back and go, but being homeless in High Wycombe it's got its ups and downs. It's not the best places to be, but there are things, the charities that can help. You've got One Can now. Some of the restaurants and places will help you out. But the one other thing that was quite bad that they did the first time round was that they had speakers in the stairwells, really loud speakers and all that sort of stuff, so to stop us sleeping in here. But there was, like you said earlier, there are good people and there are bad people. So the bad people that are homeless, it's going to come up on the good people. So that's why the speakers were put in. That's why everything else. Then they had security and stuff like that come in the stairwell. But they like most people like security. They know who the bad ones are and who the good ones are. But
do you know what I would say, Jay, is you've proven to me just in the last 30 seconds what a good guy that you are.
I appreciate it.
Homeless or not, there's not many people that I think would accept to speak to a weird stranger like me and come and have a chat with us, to agree to do this on camera. And I commend you for that, and I think that shows great strength on your part. So if you don't mind going back, so you ended up in that sort of home, dabbled in whatever you got up to there.
Yeah.
And what kind of happened after that? What led you to being physically on the street? If you can take me back to that first night even.
I physically became homeless on the street is where I had fallen out with an ex-girlfriend. She wasn't happy with the way I was living my lifestyle, which is understandable. And I kind of just felt myself going, I can't really go to other friends because of what's happened. You do fall out of people, and literally everything kind of fell apart. So I then was like, I'm going to have to sleep on the streets. And yeah, it wasn't very, it was a shock. There's camping, and then there's actually sleeping on the streets, and that's completely different. But you've got a few places. If you find yourself, somewhere that you can kind of hide away, but it's always going to, if you're wet, you're cold, you're always going to struggle in that sort of sense. But finding myself homeless that first time was I was scared. I can look after myself, but I was scared, I was upset, I was just ashamed, I was really what do I do? I wasn't really in contact with family back then. due to other supporting things like just falling out with my family. And that's another thing that, you know, the reason why I was homeless for so long, because I didn't have contact with anyone. And I just, when you're homeless, it's really hard to explain. Some people can, like, you know, just accept it and go through that. And I kind of for a while accepted it, but then I was thinking, I always had in the back of my mind, I know better. I've had better.
Had that job before.
I've had, but you know, I have had better. But the one thing was the substance misuse. Like, you know, it's nothing. I've never injected or anything like that. It's just, you know, smoking and like, I try and be honest. But the main reasons why some people get really low is because they've either got some sort of substance misuse, and you know, even though you get help for it and everything else, it's up to you and your way of doing it. But because of the way you are, you can deal with a couple of nights out, and that's how it's a coping mechanism.
And that's exactly what I'm finding. So, you know, we've been out for 2 or 3 hours now, and I've found that there's a stigma, and I feel ashamed to say that there is a stigma with homelessness, but what I'm discovering tonight is that there's just so much more to it. Usually mental health, potentially substance misuse, and it's kind of just, I'm doing this so that people can look deeper into the real issue, which I don't think is seeing people sleep on the street. I think it's what happens before that. It's what's happening in people's minds, how we can help people out, you know, in recovery or drug use or alcohol as well. So that's something that I'm finding is a lot more. So as you know, I'm sleeping tonight. First time. What's your advice for me?
Right, okay, first advice is, if you've got a decent sleeping bag, okay, none of this camping, like, you know, none of the caravan sleeping bags, and your best thing to do is to get some decent cardboard, keep yourself off the ground, right, okay, at least, you know, some decent big boxes, or say about 2 or 3 layers of it. Get yourself a hat. You've got a hat, but like get yourself one of these or something. The normal club or some North Face stuff if you've got it. Like, but yeah, just try and keep yourself warm. But also, don't go to sleep with a jacket on as well. Kind of take down to a low that you're kind of comfortable, because when you get up in the morning and you haven't got anything to put on, you're getting straight out of a warm place and you're not got any other layers on. It's like the same as any survival. It is basically a survival. It's a survival instinct, and it's a survival way of going. You know, it's going to be freezing. But also, if you're going to go anywhere, I'd try and find yourself in a place that you're not going to be around it. Well, I'd say not these 2 stairwells, but all of them are rank at the moment. But there's if you don't stay in that stairwell, if you're going to stay in here, this stairwell here, try and stay like on level 3, because that's the, you know, you're going to be in between. Up here, like, you know, there's a lot of people that's going to come in and out and annoy you or something. But yeah, my best situation is just to try and keep yourself warm. You know, get yourself something to eat, and if you've got, like, you know, a flask or anything like that, any hot drinks, and you know, if you feel like you're not tired, go for a little walk or eat a load of sugar and have a sugar crash and just knock yourself out. But try and keep warm, keep yourself off the ground, and try and just try and read a book or something, or if you've got a bit of data on your phone, like, watch something on your phone. So yeah.
And what does the future look like for you?
The future at the moment for me, right, I'm coming out the other end.
I get that impression.
I've gone through some shit, and I'm not going to go into what shit, but you know, one Christmas year, literally on this level, I was stabbed. Basically, on this level, look, I got stabbed in my hand here, slice here. That was on Christmas Day, and I've got one on my back. But that was something, another issue. But you know, things like that happen, okay, and it's just, you know, it's just shit. But come to the high peak, and you realise, like, you know, this is not the way it's going to happen. So I'm now housed, you know, thank God I'm housed. But I'm just trying to go through the process. My next process is to try and get a job and go from there. But you know, if you're willing and you're showing, you know, enough, you know, positivity, not just procrastinating, like, you know, most people, you can tell everything, you know, you can say the right things all the time, but you know, they've done it for so many years, they know what's going to happen. But you know, you've got to engage with them, and if you're not going to engage, they're not going to help you, you know. So
I do feel differently about you, Jay. I just feel like the future is bright.
I'm hoping. But
if there's anything that I could do to help you on that path, what would that be?
I don't know, just stay in contact, and if I do need some help, you know, let's say with, you know, with other, say, charities or other, you know, access to, say, the council, if you're in touch with council and things like that, you know, just little things, little footsteps in the door that I could, you know, try and help me out with, you know, some things that I might not know. I know a few bits and bobs, but you might know another general material, you might know people that might be able to sort me out, like, you know, say a job or something like that.
What sort of work would
I was in like sort of like previous job I was working for a mortgage company basically.
Right.
And and that, I'm not going to go into that, but that really fucked up. So I was kind of like.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you should, because
the only thing is that now I've got a criminal record.
Yeah.
And it's working in finance, and I can't work in finance.
What were you, a mortgage broker?
Not a mortgage broker. I was just basically kind of like cold calling, pretty much, and then I'd pass you on to someone else.
Yeah.
And, and I was in customer
care. So a referral type.
Yeah.
And is that for mortgages itself?
That was for mortgages. That was for basically people that are also in debt. I talked to people about in debt and how I could help them with the debt. Obviously, it was 3 different other positions. I've had a few other jobs. I was worked in logistics for APC up the road in Sussex. I've worked for a solar energy company that was trying to. I worked for Laithwaite's Wine. I've worked for a few office companies. I was also, done a bit of work on building sites, but that was previously. But the last, like I said, 8 years. I'm 35 now, but like the last 8 years, it's been really up and down. I've had 1 or 2 jobs, but they've never really handled because I've been homeless and I haven't turned up, or I've been turned up 2 hours late. It's just like maybe when you come back, when you're like there, when your life's a little bit more, when you're a little bit more settled, that's another thing. Or I've just walked out because I just can't be asked to work for them. But that's another thing. So
well, I always sort of tend to feel like it's baby steps, right? If you went into a full-time role tomorrow, there's going to be such an element of adaptation that's just not going to fit right. I feel for you that it would be more of a progression, kind of nicely, slowly, and then before you know it, you've got your 5 days a week of work, and all of that. I would love to take your number if you've got a number. Definitely. I'm in the property space.
Okay.
I work with a lot of people in mortgages and finance and all of that sort of stuff. If there's something that I can sort of put you in touch with and try and help you through that, because I just see so much positivity here, Jay. I really do.
Yeah, thank you.
I would say this is an incredibly positive conversation, mate. So I'd love to take your number and see what we can do to help you.
Definitely do that. Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Brilliant.
So it looks like this is where I'm staying tonight. It's really grim, but this is only one night when these people actually really go through this every single day. This is where I'm sleeping. It's not pretty, but it's all for a good cause. So I'm gonna get my head down. So let's see how the night goes. Okay, so this is the bed for the night. It's not pretty, but it's secure and covered. And this is really what a lot of people would have to go through every night. Making a bed, moving around town, finding different places. This is far from ideal, but you know what? It's covered under there, pillows, suitcase. I'm gonna make the best of this. This is the hard part, but this is just one night for me. It's not every day, so we'll grin and bear it. Let's see how we get on. So that was a really tough night. All of this is in aid of the Wickham Homeless Connection, and if you could donate anything at all, please do so using the link that's below. That was a really tough night. It was very uncomfortable. I haven't slept one bit, but this is for a very worthwhile cause that I hope I'm bringing some light to. So please do donate whatever you can, because I know these charities very much need your support. Thank you.